Tartaria, Australia. I'm here with Cambell from Autodidactic for our weekly rambles, musing on all things Tartarian and this crazy realm we're living out at the moment. So we just started having the greatest chat about your theories about water and maritime law. Go for it, Cambell.
I was just saying maritime law and the Great Flood. We obviously know about the Great Flood, the mud flood, Noah's flood, all this kind of stuff. And those who wish to control us, the Phoenician types, they say that we're all dead and lost at sea. So is that directly tied into the flood? As in, we were on the land, the flood came, we all got washed into the water, most people disappeared and died. And so these people have just claimed that we're all dead and that we don't exist. And this is where we are. This is the basis of all this maritime seafaring law, because in the Great Flood, all the land disappeared, right? And then when it came back up, they just went, oh, that's now part of the ocean because all the land disappeared. So we own it. You're all dead. We can't find you. Yeah, I think that could be. I can't believe I haven't heard that link before. It just sort of.
Because if we combine the mud flood and then Noah's flood, we know that the water covered the whole plain. And you were saying before that we were the land people, and then the Phoenicians were the water people, correct? And then so they assumed all the land people were dead, maybe the original humans or the Tartarians. And as they proclaimed us to be dead, they then were the owners of the sea. And as the seas start to dissipate and the continents and lands start to rise up again, they continue to see us as, look, Cambell's gone, he's flashing. I quite like it. It's very anti-Warhol going on here. Bit of pop art.
I know. I'm disappearing into Tartaria, man.
I like it. All right, you should stay there. It's there could be some trivia. And I've got my light beam going on, and you can be astrally in and out. You might be having his
there we go.
So basically, as
it's all going on.
The seas went down again, they declared that the land and everything on the land was part of their domain. So
exactly.
That's where maritime law comes down to.
Islands, right? I was watching another video and this guy was standing on the side of the road. He's going, this is all maritime, right? And he's gone, these are lanes, right? Shipping lanes. And what's in between the lanes? Islands, traffic islands.
Right? So that's really interesting, because we got onto that topic because I just suddenly got a photo through my feed of Melbourne, and it was taken in I wrote it down, in 1840. All right, so 1875, which means that Melbourne was founded in 1835. So this is a couple of decades. 40. And it went from, as we know, nothing to this massive built up thing. So I was thinking, is there records of how many ships actually left from the UK and other continents and arrived in Australia over the time of those 40 years that would match the massive increase in population we apparently had, and then this massive growth that overtook the country? And so I went on to try to find these records, and of course I couldn't find them. But what I did find was just these ridiculous lists of we sold these ideas of these boats, and we were saying they are like these little wooden boats, and basically half the people die anyway. Half the men and women die from scurvy or weather conditions or seasickness or starvation. And that's basic fact of those boats. The trip took 6-9 months depending on how good the weather was. And then get this, Cambell, I was just reading this list. So this is from one of the history societies talking about these boats. This is what was apparently accompanying this huge amount of people on these little wooden boats to make up Melbourne as it currently is: 550 chickens, 250 ducks, 150 sheep, 55 turkeys and geese, 30 pigs, a couple of lambs and oxen, and a milking cow. I don't know if you guys know anything about farming, but the amount of shit and urine that would be created from that amount of animals is insane. It would basically kill everyone on board because the conditions would be so bad. And you're like, you can't contain that amount of animals plus people and food on a little wooden boat getting to Melbourne at 9 months at sea. It's not possible. I mean, that's to me, it's like...
No, the ammonia itself, just the ammonia from the urine would kill everyone. I mean, and we know that, you know, all the pictures they show off, these animals aren't on the top deck, right? They're going to try and tell us they're below deck. How are they getting rid of all the excrement, right?
Yeah. You can't just put a hole in a boat.
Below the water level. How does a cow or a bullock or a horse stand still for 6 months to 9 months and get off the other end alive? It doesn't happen.
No.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, you guys know out there who's had a chicken coop. I think most of us at some point, hopefully, have had some form of a chicken coop. And like, say, I would normally have about 12 to 18 chickens just on my farm, right? And like, that's the space I needed for that was sort of like about 10 meters by 5 meters. And I had to let them out all the time because the buildup of chicken manure was so strong, and it's such a strong burning. All live animal shit burns. It burns, right? It's really intense, and it takes a big process.
They're getting rid of the toxins from their body.
Yeah,
it's literally the shit.
Yeah,
you know?
Yep. So to imagine 550 of these things on a boat alongside food and animal, and then ducks and lambs and turkeys and pigs and cows. Crazy. So I just thought that was interesting, but
and with all the food and everything they would need to carry to feed those animals for 6 to 9 months, plus, I mean, you've got to just think it's just so stupid because basically that's food for the people on the ship. They would start eating those animals if that happened.
Yep.
They just would.
Yep.
They just would. I mean, I'm sorry.
True.
If you've got a barrel of bloody weevil infested, you know, wheat that's 4 months old and a chook, you're just going to knock the chook off and eat it. It's a stupid story. It doesn't make any sense at all.
God, it's crazy.
And we haven't even touched on the horses. Horses are just, I mean, worse than cows. A cow, you can kind of imagine, is, you know, it doesn't need to run every day, but a horse, come on. You're telling me that it's just mad.
I know, it's absolutely mad. It's absolutely mad. So I was going to screen share a photo for you, but I've just realized I'm on my laptop today. I'm not in my office, so I can't do it.
Well,
so
I have some stuff we can look at if I can get rid of this. How do I get rid of that?
I'm going to message you this. I'm going to send you a picture because I want everyone to see this because it's so cool, just to show you the chaos of all these lies. So bear with us for a second, everyone. So I just grabbed this, send it to Cambell. I've just messaged it to you. Anyway, so I was looking at the state of Melbourne.
Oh, there.
Yeah, so this image is Melbourne 40 years on from its original foundation day. I mean, we're talking like when one person stood there with like 8 other people and declared Melbourne a being a thing. And there was like, and it's so interesting because when you look at the history around it, they start talking about the fact that I looked up what was Melbourne like in 1838, right? To 1850. And the first thing they said to me was, in the 19th century Melbourne, free land was scarce. Free land was scarce?
Really?
What? Free land
in Australia
there should have been like nothing but free land. That's the first thing.
They found it. What do you mean?
Yeah, the 19th century Melbourne, free land was scarce, housing was a problem, and when times got tough, people turned to alcohol. This is like all in like the first 5 seconds of Melbourne. It's crazy.
So there's not enough land. There's no housing, but there's tons of alcohol for anyone who needs it. Instead of building the houses, let's go build the stills, the distilleries, the breweries.
Yeah, because that's the other thing that we brought over.
So when people realize they don't have a house, they can get drunk.
Yeah. So they don't have a house. They don't have any free land to build a house. And there's lots of alcohol in these boats that like came over with them, of course. Because like none of this is, the point of all this is just like, it's a head fuck and none of it makes sense. And it's very irritating to read. That's what I want to say about that. Have you got the photo? Share that
Yes,
photo.
I do.
This is what Melbourne looked like.
All right, can you see that?
Yep. Melbourne,
Yep.
1975. 1875, sorry.
18.
18. Sorry, it looks like Melbourne 1975, but no, this is Melbourne 1875. So you got to bear in mind. There's hardly like, I don't think that's people down. I think that's what's in the middle of the road there. It's very equally positioned. I think that may be something other than, I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, the kind of looks like horse and carts, but yeah, I see what you mean. It could be
Like
bunker booths or something. But this is Melbourne was founded 1835. Is that correct?
Yep. Yep. And this is 1875.
So 40 years they've built all of this.
Yep. With
They don't tell us what factories they've built, where the iron came from, where the clay came from, where the mortar came from, where the lime came from, where the glass came. I mean, I could just go on and on and on about what you need, you know, about all the infrastructure you need before you can even consider building one of these buildings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you can't even consider it unless you can make bricks, unless you can make glass, unless you can make iron, unless you can do, you know, mill timber. And you have all the you know, correctly skilled workmen and tradesmen.
So let's just do some maths. I've just got my calculator out. Let's just do some maths here. So
I was just thinking, I wonder if you could count every building and work out how many they built a year. It'd probably be like 100 buildings a year or so.
How many tall ships do you think? Just be really like, don't be conservative. Just give me like the best case scenario. How many ships could have left for Australia in 1835? Like, if we look at sort of like, we've probably got the UK is the main one. Well, the UK is the only one sending them at this point, aren't they? So the UK fleet.
So yeah, 1835, and the UK were also that, you know, they're starting around the rest of the earth as well, and they you know, had to protect their own country. So I mean, what are we talking? How many?
I'm thinking 5.
I mean, I'm thinking not. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I think they said the first fleet was made up of 7 ships or something, didn't they? All
right, let's say 10, Campbell.
Let's
say 10. 10 ships. Just let's start there. And how many people you reckon could get onto one of these ships?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the ships that they try and tell us are the ones that came, and they look like they would carry, you know, under less than 50. I'm thinking, with all the stocks and with all the food and everything else they're bringing, and I think that's generous because these are small ships.
Yeah, I agree, 50. But let's be way out there and say 100 people on each ship. So we got 10 ships bringing 100 people. So in 1 year we could get maybe 1,000 people, and of that, like, we're assuming we've got women and children potentially in that mix, obviously, or we can't like grow obviously we need it, or we can't grow the population. So 1,000 people. So you guys just put that in perspective. Like, you probably on a good normal day when you're not like locked in your house, you could potentially pass 500 people in your day, just background people, just like at a super shopping center or a supermarket. Maybe even 1,000, you know, just background. But imagine if your entire city was just 1,000 people. That would be enough to, like, that's probably what, 3 Woolworths at any given time. Like 1,000 people is like maybe a couple of 1-2 schools worth of kids, whatever, right? Just put it in.
Yeah.
Now, let's say that rate of ship kept coming for the next 40 years. So that would, for the next 40 years, that puts us at 40,000 people in Melbourne. Now, 40 years is enough time to essentially have like 2 generations,
3 generations,
3 generations of kids. So of that 40,000,
3, we'll give them 3.
3. So
they'd have to be going hard at it, but you know, why not?
Yeah, although, you know, there was no houses or education or doctors or medical or farms or food or anything like this. So the death rate would have been, there was no midwives and blah, blah, blah. But let's just be conservative and add.
And that's definitely what the story is. The story is definitely, back then out in the middle of nowhere, you have kids and maybe, 50% will survive to adulthood kind of thing.
So let's double the population then. Like we're at 40,000. Let's times that by 2. So now we're at 80,000. And let's just, because we'll just add another. We'll just times it again. Right? So that's really probably very, we're being very generous in these figures, I would say. If we put this to history, but we're looking at 160,000 people.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. The first generation wouldn't have been much.
No.
Because if we're going along, the narrative, those first, the bulk, like 90% plus of who came out at the start were all men.
Yeah.
Convicts, soldiers, and the people running the place. So there wouldn't have been families and kids everywhere. It would not have been any, and it would have been an extremely, tough life for a woman to be in that position too. So it's not like you'd get 20,000 people out here and then in 10 years they would have doubled or tripled the population. It wouldn't have been like that at all.
No.
Maybe 30, 40 years down the track, it'd start going that way. But yeah, I mean, but just to point out, because people will be going, 20,000 people, well, 10,000 couples, they can all have 6 kids each. It wouldn't work like that. And they definitely wouldn't all make it to adulthood.
No, and there's no food yet. There's no farms. There's no grocery stores. There's no food. So I'm taking off 60,000 just for all those reasons alone. So we're looking over a course of 2 or 3 decades, like 100,000 people. If they all came over on boats and that was sort of the. Now bring that photo up again, Campbell, and let's imagine that 100,000 people, which is what? Is that the size of one of our football stadiums? One of our football stadiums holds 100,000 people. And they managed, the whole football stadium managed to build this. Like multi-layered, multi-leveled, like multiple.
And these are all big buildings.
Massive.
Like you said, I see this is 1, 2, 3, 4 story big. These, it kind of looks a bit shorter from this perspective, but these are all big 2, 3, 5-story buildings over here.
Yep. They're massive and they're made out of huge materials like bluestone and red. They are boulder. They are such big, thick materials.
Copper domes.
Yep. Streets.
Who was making this copper plate? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. And who was carving out streets from this flat terrain? And who had the ability to come up with this grid, this very famous Melbourne grid, and had that all worked out and mapped out, and they didn't come into any mountains, hills, river issues, water issues. They just laid out a grid on the continent as it totally stood, and then bang, they laid out a city. Like you guys know in your own life experience, when you look at roadworks going on around your area, and they've got to blow up get through a hill or get through a rock outcrop, or it takes them years and years and years and years and years to even plan an extension on a railroad. Takes them decades. We're talking about, and all those buildings have wiring and plumbing and infrastructure within them, and they've all they're not empty shells I was about to say like a movie set, but are they? We don't even fucking know anymore. But anyway.
And we know what they were full of, like the wood, the wooden interiors, huge wooden carved stuff, not like stuff that takes a lot of time to make. But apart from that, now look what we're finding out. There's tunnels under this all the way. There's tunnels everywhere. Yeah. There was tram systems in there with big wheels that were running the trams around on cables for free energy. There's water. Right, there's water pipes under here. If there's one fountain anywhere in this city, there's a massive water system underneath it.
Yep.
And these are things that people don't think about. It's like, oh well, they could have built this building. Well, okay, how did they build them all? How did they build the water system?
Absolutely.
Because you got to understand, anything under the ground, that all has to be dug up, put in first before they lay this city over the top.
Yep.
Right. So that's definitely playing, because we know that, this whole narrative they like to tell us about, someone goes out and finds a good piece of land and they start their farm, and then someone opens up a shop and then more people. And it's this sort of organic growth of a town. when that happens, you don't end up with a grid.
No.
You do not end up with a grid.
No way.
You don't. People
No.
go, this is a nice piece of land. I'm living there. This is nice over here. They don't go, oh, well, I better move 10 meters to the side so I'm not in the middle of the road they're going to build.
Yep.
They don't. This is completely planned and built. This is the thing. When you look at all these cities, they're all like this, right?
Yeah.
So it really does look that at some point they would have had to been designed like the whole lot. And then they started constructing a city, not, oh, we're going to build a building and then next week we'll build a bit. Like they designed cities.
Yes.
The whole thing.
Yes. And it all worked like a giant jigsaw puzzle.
No one will touch.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Yeah, I mean, and if you are here in Melbourne, you know that there is massive sewer systems, massive undergrounds here, and that Melbourne isn't flat. This gives you the idea that Melbourne's a flat piece of land, this photo, but it's bullshit. Melbourne is all like this, the whole city. You're going up and down the whole time. Like they didn't just got presented with a nice, like massive football field already and founded for them. They were literally like dealing with hills and rocks and the planning and design of this grid pattern is something that it just could never have happened organically. It could never have happened to a new colony organically. And in fact, we don't even have a reference point for that because all of our great cities are the same. They've all been built as whole cities, not as like a grow. We've been taught this model that you grow and they build and they grow and evolve and create this thing. No, it all started at once. Otherwise, it wouldn't work.
I agree.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't. And now with what we know, like I just looking at this bell tower, right? That bell tower is where it is because of a specific reason. It's not like, oh, we can fit one in there. That's there for a reason. This dome is here for this dome here. Everything is set out like that. The cathedrals will be in a specific place where they're supposed to be. So it's completely the furthest thing from random that we've got.
Yeah,
it's just so unrandom. It's so planned out, and then they just go, no, it's just a random thing that happened, just random,
Yeah,
of course.
And then because they pitch it
very silly story.
Yeah, really silly, and they pitch it with these stories of the pioneers, with these stories of these like pioneers, sort of like farm communities that pop up and they're just sort of like organically placed around the land. And that's what they pitch as we get taught history and how these cities got formulated at school. So our brains are always compiling visual images of alongside these huge, like basically the most innocent structures being like a little farmhouse, pioneering farmhouse village, to these completely massive structures being our cities, and saying they both just occurred the same way. It's like
yeah, and this is it's so silly, isn't it? Like I remember back in the 80s, when they loved the mini series. Everyone was making mini series, and you get all these historic things, and all the time they're building these stupid little wooden shacks that they're living in, and they got these farms that are just rough tree poles and stuff. But then you look at reality, and it's completely the complete opposite story. Is what reality is. They try and teach us, oh, no, they were just living in bark huts and stuff. But yeah, right. And this is the thing. Why would you live in a bark hut and spend your whole day making a big solid brick rock cathedral and then going back home to your leaky, crappy little wooden bark hut?
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense, does it? It just doesn't, none of it makes sense. You know what was another interesting thing that when I was just looking at that in regards to when the ships all arrived, was also looking at the initial immigrants that came through. And there was this big chunk of information on the Chinese immigrants, which I thought was really interesting compared to like, okay, so go back to this week in Australia. It's obviously we've calmed down a bit from the protests because the police have just become like, we are now officially in a tyrannical police state. Like that's now happened. We're in it. And there's just so much chat on my groups about China going to war, China about to launch into a serious world war, China about to like invade countries, China about to invade Australia, not like in a prissy little lofty little fucking like la way, but literally soldiers arriving on the beach sort of way. And it's just been coming up in my channels. And of course we've got Dan Andrews here, who is like everyone knows he's like completely, you know,
communist.
Absolutely.
It's Chinese. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, and it's no accident that Melbourne itself is our highest population of Chinese. Like if I walk through the city over the last couple of months, all I see is, well, I was seeing construction workers, but all I was seeing was Chinese and construction workers. That was it. All the shops that are open on the main street of Melbourne, they're all Chinese. All of the food shops are Chinese. All of the newsagents are Chinese. All of the little gadgety shops are all Chinese. Like they are the businesses that are still open on Swanston Street in Melbourne City.
Really?
And I walk through that street and it is Chinese people that I see.
Because did you hear this thing a few weeks ago that Chinese people were actually being sent or could apply to get, you know, stickers and all that kind of stuff sent to them from China rather than taking the Australian version?
Yeah, I think we were talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I did.
So that as well. So
they have their own vaccine.
So why are they being treated like first-class citizens when everyone else is a second class? That's very interesting.
Yeah,
and of course, historically, they're very, very tied into the gold rush. Yes. The Chinese people,
right, which is what I was going to just about bring up. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really interesting. So just to recap on there, Chinese people living in Melbourne are being sent to their own clinics to receive their own vaccine, not the Western vaccine, their own Chinese vaccine. They have been given privilege into this country, which I find really strange, just on the back that, like, we hear all these stories that China is this like intensely communistic, torturous regime that has eyes and ears on their population, has a social caste situation everywhere, and yet they just allow all their people to immigrate wherever they want. It just is so they wouldn't let their citizens immigrate to Australia unless it was in service to the Communist Party. Like, that's how strangled the Chinese population is in the communist situation. Like,
that's a very good point.
Yeah.
Like why are they let out? Why are they actually able to get out of the country?
Absolutely.
Not why are we letting so many in, but how the hell do they get out of a communist regime?
Absolutely. They just walk out. They just get to send their students here. Whereas on the other hand, we got like the Falun Gong practitioners who are basically being persecuted in death camps and raped and tortured like every single day just for practicing their meditation. Like, the regime is so dark and intense in China. And then we walk around here in Melbourne and Australia, and it's just like Chinese fucking students and Chinese families, Chinese businesses, Chinese newspapers, Chinese news agencies, Chinese everything. There's Chinese Uber versions. There's Chinese exchange services. Like, it's all Chinese. And how did they make this shift from this communist regime? They would have to literally escape a war zone to make it to immigrate to Australia. It's just there's something going on. There's
some dodgy shit going on behind there, isn't there?
And now they have their own vaccine.
And this would have to go all the way to the top as well, you know, of Australian politics. So, you know, everyone would have to know what was going on, because otherwise they should be getting questioned. Even if it's just why are you letting them in without even worrying about how they got here? Okay, this is a communist country. Why would you let a percentage of your population be communists? They're clearly going to influence the rest of the population.
Yeah,
it just shows you how long this has been going on for.
Yeah, I mean, like, why would you send all your students and families to Australia to get corrupted by Western governments just to come back to your communistic regime and like weaken the stronghold you have over their minds? You wouldn't do it unless they signed their sovereignty away, unless they've somehow signed a pact that when their time comes, when the party calls them, they will commit to doing a certain action. Or so right now they're literally free to roam all around Melbourne. I don't care that the rest of everyone else is in lockdown. All I see is them freely roaming around Melbourne, because most of them live in the city. right? And then they've got their own vaccine. They've been literally told to go to their Chinese clinics to get their own Chinese vaccine.
And not to touch, not to touch the Aussie one.
And look, I mean, you could listen in on this conversation, think, holy fucking shit, you're being racist right now. But like, we're just drawing parallels because it is what's in front of our eyes, and it's our eyes that we have to like trust what we're seeing, like it's the eyes that break the spell. So if we then like link it to Tartaria and Tartarian consciousness, it was the Chinese that flooded in, migrated to Australia apparently en masse, which is what I was about to read you, to attend to the gold rush. So then we've got these visual scenes of like all these Chinese immigrants coming to Australia, like literally heaps. Apparently there was more Chinese immigrants coming to Australia than any other group of people. And it was controversial, apparently controversial. But they all flooded into Australia, and then they went out to all the gold mining fucking bush areas out in Australia and did all this gold panning. And then like apparently there's some missing part in history where all these Chinese doing gold panning that suddenly equaled Melbourne, like manifesting out of thin air, like like
that's what gold is.
It's the magical alchemy.
If you have gold, you can just buy stuff. You don't need materials or factories to actually produce it. You just go, I've got gold.
I've got gold, and then
magic.
you just blow it on a piece of dirt like this. I want a cathedral in my image, and then pooh,
that's it.
Up can't St. Paul's Cathedral, the National State Library, whatever.
Just look at towns like Bendigo, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that place is ridiculous, right? And what's the story? Oh, it's a gold rush. Because people go, how we got all these amazing buildings? Oh, it was a gold rush. There was gold everywhere.
Yep.
Oh, so everyone was out there digging gold. Yeah. Well, if they were all digging gold, who was building the buildings? And who was making the bricks? And who was running the factories? We don't talk about that.
No, because gold's magic.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, and they're like, they were saying that like they sent every able body out to the gold fields. Like when we think about it, then so they got a pile of gold, and then they bring all these rocks with bits of gold nugget in it, because that's what they'd be mining up. Not like gold bullion or gold coins, like bits of rock with like freaking gold nuggets in it, right? They don't have the power tools to sort that out. So then they turn back up to Melbourne, and they take this wheelbarrow full of rock with these little gold nuggets. And then what? Well, they have to send them back to England or wherever to get them actually like cleaned up and then weighed and then converted into some sort of currency, which then got sent back to Australia. And it just this story. But anyway, the point is, like on a Mandela effect moment, here we are, like literally with a communist Chinese takeover from our premier, with a CCP communist influence and total loyalty from the state governments here in Australia, which would then mean our Prime Minister. So essentially Australia to the Chinese Communist Party. We've got a massive migration of Chinese people in Australia. Massive. We've got like this whole Mandela effect about the Chinese currency. Did you see that one where that was on Martin's show, where we all know the Chinese currency to be the yen, YUAN. That's what I've always known it. But apparently that's not what it's called anymore. It's called Remington or something. I'll quickly get it. Something like
what?
Yeah, exactly. Hang on.
And it just changed. They didn't say they changed it. It just changed.
It's called the renminbi. Renminbi. The renminbi is the official currency of the People's Republic of China and one of the world's reserve currency, ranking as the 8th most traded currency in the world. RENMINBI. Renminbi. And it's just there, there's all these questions. Is the renminbi the same as the yen? And like there's just so something's happened there also with the currency, whether it's a Mandela effect or I haven't been following the currency enough to know this, but everyone I know who says what's the Chinese currency, they say the yen.
Yen. Yeah,
But
and I've never
apparently
heard
not.
of renminbi. Don't know what
Renminbi. I've never even
the
said the
hell
word. Have you
that's.
ever even said that? I've never heard it said. I've never said it.
No,
I've never seen it.
it doesn't. It doesn't even sound Chinese.
No. So
Uh,
so
uh,
so we've got this Mandela effect going on. We had initially had the gold rush. That was a currency of sort. And it was the Chinese immigration that were behind the gold rush, which gave us the illusion of Melbourne being bought. And now we're sitting here with another reset, Chinese immigration again, like another form of currency coming up. And like we're in this like whole ripping back of Tartarian consciousness. And there is the Chinese smack bang in the middle of it again. Right in the middle of the lie again is China. I mean, I'm just drawing
have you
parallels
heard
here.
this theory? Yeah. Have you heard this theory? I don't know what it's called. I've heard a few people talking about it. And what they're doing is they're linking people today with people in the past.
Yep.
They're linking up different, and literally they're saying this, whatever, this Samson from the Bible is actually this person alive today.
Yep.
And so it's looking at it's talking about, obviously time doesn't exist, right? And what we're in some kind of fractal compression here. So, and it's also to do with, the program, the lie that's been put over the top, right? So, so we literally, we don't know who we are, right?
Yep.
So are we just playing out the same story over and over and over again and trying to get it right and trying to work stuff out? And is this what's happening? We've been here before. This is the same story. It just looks different. Same characters, but might have different names, or they might not know they're the same characters.
Yeah.
But we're literally just replaying this thing over and over.
Yeah.
And who knows what? It's like that movie with Tom Cruise in it. What's it called? And they're fighting aliens.
Yeah, like
and
Oblivion,
the aliens
Oblivion?
can control time. Is it Oblivion?
It's one of
no,
those ones.
that's another one.
And
It's one of those ones.
It's like a
basically,
Groundhog Day.
Yeah. So the aliens they come in and attack, and then the humans retaliate. And if the aliens lose anything, they just reverse time, and they know what happens, and so then they just avoid it, right? And so they keep going forward. Is that kind of what we're doing? Have we been here before, but we've lost and we've lost and we've lost, and this time we're like, let's just get it bloody right and get through this and fix it.
Look,
that's kind of what it feels like, isn't it?
I mean, maybe that's what we are taught is karma. Maybe that's the illusion of karma that we're taught is this spiritual penance that you essentially play, you incur throughout the game, and then you come back and you do it again, influenced by that, which is, it's kind of what you're saying right now. Like but more sci-fi, it's just like literally a glitch in the time loop. And all of David Wilcock's work is about that glitch in the timeline. And he draws parallels to leaders and who they were throughout history, and has even shown that the facial structure of those people are the same throughout history. So that's definitely been happening for sure. And then we've got all those, I mean, well, right now on a sort of larger scale, as in a geographical scale, Australia seems to be going through the gold rush moment of its conceptual lie. As we uncover the truth, it's got the same elements of that immigration, the currency, the takeover, because it was a colonial takeover, the destruction of the natives, which would now be the purebloods, which would now be those who haven't had the apple juice, the destructive, and literally continually today, this destruction of our natives, with the army turning up to force the apple juice on them. And wow, we're mirroring some big stuff. I bet we could sit here and write a big list of all the ways.
It's just, exactly. That's the war, the genocide that happened 200 years ago, isn't it?
Yeah, we're in it now, right? Don't you feel that?
They're offering, and all the natives have been offered, Aboriginals, $500 to get the juice.
Yep.
Get that, and we'll give you 500 cash. And of course, most of them don't really understand money that much. They don't use it that much. And they're like, oh, cool. And they're doing it. But we're definitely not getting offered that as non-Indigenous. But I mean, it just shows you, if this stuff works, why do they need to pay money to people?
Yeah.
Wouldn't being healthy and alive be enough of a selling point?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. It really looks like that. Michelle, she looks at the time loop too, from 1492 to 1942. 1492, obviously America. 1942, the Philadelphia experiment, and the halfway point is 1717. So there's a lot of this time. Michelle Gibson. Sorry, Michelle. So there's lots of this. Yeah, this time loop, fractal stacking kind of discussion going on for sure. I think one thing we know is whatever we thought reality was 2 years ago,
far out.
we were wrong.
We were so wrong. So 1770 was known as the birthplace of Queensland.
1717.
Yeah,
so
I was just looking at
1717. Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought you said 70.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. That's Australia Day. Duh. So Australia Day is official. So day 1717 and 1718 onwards was known as Australia Day.
1717? We weren't discovered, apparently, until... I mean, the Dutch were here, but 1788. That'd be... Oh, you're going to have to keep looking at that.
17 Australia. I just typed in 1717 Australia to see what would come up. Anyway.
I'll have to have a look at that. Because this is the other thing, right? That they try and tell us Australia, oh, no, we were just sailing around and we bumped into it. We didn't know anything was there. The fact that we've named Australia on all the maps that go back hundreds of years before we landed there, it's always been terror. Literally, it was called the hidden land of Australia. It's literally on maps. Oh, no, but there's no land there. No, we just randomly found it. I mean,
I wish it had stayed that way. I wish we'd always been called that. The hidden land of Australia.
Terror. If we were, yeah. Yeah, well, we're definitely Terror Australia now, aren't we?
So, and of course,
this
times also, Campbell, and with, of course, Atlantis. So, like, that's another thing. Like, most people, and for you guys watching this, you have to know also that for the majority of starseeds or truthers that have got to Tartaria consciousness, like, you were doing this also at the time Atlantis collapsed. Like, our collective, you are for sure reborn in this moment. It was our destiny because we experienced this same thing happening, and this nefarious AI takeover that was like going up against the people, and we were there talking out and like saying something about this, and at the end of the day we failed and the whole civilization collapsed. We have collective trauma there. We have karmic trauma from that time period, and as a result we're triggered right now in ways that don't even make sense to us. Like and they know that. Like, the very ones at the very, very top of the food chain on the nefarious side know about our collective karma, and they are playing on it. So when you come across like police brutality, mandate brutality, or your freedom's been taken away, silenced, ridiculed, arrested, all the things, censored, all the things that are happening, we have emotional stuff coming up. And it's not just about your life this lifetime. So don't be so hard on yourself. Like, this is a tough journey, and remember to do your energy work. Like, go and seek the support of counselors and guides and people who can read energy, and it will so help you keep like the journey of you bringing up and releasing, because we can't repress it. This whole Tartarian consciousness is about releasing and getting rid of the oppression, the repression, the suppression, the hiding, the suffocating, the not speaking. We have to release and know this time round, God wins. Like, it's not the same
definitely
timeline.
Yeah. Well, it's true. It's we tried to fix it last time. We failed, and they're just using that against us, to push the fear and the fear to stop us standing up and going for it again. That's why that's their only weapon, is the mainstream bloody media, which is, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's some weird bank holiday coming up in Canada. It's called Reconciliation Day,
Oh, yeah.
which most Canadians haven't even heard of. It's just popped up, but it's popping up and all the banks are shutting.
Yeah,
Like every
right.
bank in Canada is going to be shut. And there's all this talk about they're doing that because something's going to happen to the currency or the money system, and then it's going to open back up and there's going to be something different there.
Well, isn't that
People have even
interesting?
noticed that cash machines, people have noticed that cash machines and payment machines have gone from, what was it, to, they used to say, put your bills here, and now it says, put your notes. Which means, I mean, that's like pretty random, but that means someone has gone around and changed every single one of those little stickers.
Yep.
For a reason.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff
random.
going on, you know. And you know, we know, well, the next 3 months are going to be just silly. We got through September. We knew September was going to be a big one, and it was. So yeah, I'd say, you know, there's so much going on behind the scenes.
Oh my God.
We've got an army on our side, and we don't see it because we're not allowed to see it. They don't want to show it to us, but also, you know, the white hats don't exactly want to give away their plans either. So there's so much discussion, you know, about, oh, you know, you're wrong, you know, and a lot of it's got to do obviously with patriots and you know, the big orange man and all this, and there's just so much, you know, just so much hate and bad energy and judgment going around about that when people don't even really know. They're going, oh, you're an idiot. I think it's a much better way to go, well, awesome, let's hope that happens, but let's also plan just in case it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, but running around and going, you're an idiot for saying this, you're an idiot, how dare, all you're doing is helping the evil side. That's what they want. They want your negative energy. They want you to go and start a fight. They want you to yell at the wall.
It's hard though. It's so
that's
hard.
their feeding. They're like, yay,
so
McDonald's. Woohoo. Let me bring it back up.
Sorry, I'm starting again. Breaking news. On Friday, the 1st of October, 2:32 p.m. What just happened? Campbell.
Gladys, what's her name? Berejiklian, the Archonic Angel, has resigned. And she has not just resigned, she had to resign because ICAC, which is, what is ICAC? The Independent Commission Against Corruption, is investigating whether Berejiklian was involved in a breach of public trust. So literally they're on, that's what the Guardian's saying. So you can read through that. You know, they're sort of saying, oh, you know, did she breach the public trust? No, she's done something completely illegal. And they've got onto it. And she's literally said she had no option but to resign, which means if she stayed in the job, she'd end up in jail within a week. So
how fucked that they
big
even have
news
an
there,
option.
guys. Something is going. I mean,
but can I give you my theory? I've already got one.
You can.
Okay.
No, you can't. No, be quiet.
Here's my theory straight away. She was about to give equal rights to the non-vaccinated. It was Gladys that was saying the unvaccinated can be free to walk around, blah, blah, blah. And our premier in Melbourne was like, there's no way the unvaccinated are getting freedoms. No way are they getting to come out to society. Like, she was about to set the precedent that, and even with the swimming pools and the beaches, there was no like mandate around the unvaccinated coming out of lockdown, integrating with the vaccinated. So I actually was watching the news the other day thinking, wow, she's setting a precedent where unvaccinated people can actually have their freedoms back. So I am not surprised at all that she's been targeted for resignation. Of course, with our politicians,
I did see something about that. Yeah.
And with our politicians, they all have something that they've been bribed on. Like at any given moment, they can resign people, they can arrest people, they can declare an affair, declare a blah, 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 a broken eye, a few broken ribs, whatever they want. Like this isn't happening as an independent event that Gladys just happened to get herself in and now she's just happened to be caught. Bullshit. This has happened because she wasn't pulling the line in some way, or they wanted someone more CCP in the role of New South Wales Premier. Just my working premise.
Good point. Yeah, I mean, I did see something where she's been up and down a bit, Gladys, hasn't she? But maybe that's proof that she's been getting harassed, because she's definitely come out and said, you know, she's kind of gone back on her words, hasn't she?
Yeah.
I understand she has come out and kind of, because she came out and said something, and basically Queensland turned on her.
Yep.
Like instantly, and she went, "Oh, okay, well, you know, okay, we don't have to be that harsh, you know, vaccinate, you know, unvaccinated, whatever." And then she sort of went back on it a bit. So yeah, who knows? Maybe she just wasn't. This is the thing, unless they say jump and you say how high, you're no use to them.
And plus, really, Sydney and New South Wales got kept out of the lockdown for the longest time. Like, she really has only brought them into this situation like the last couple of months, whereas Melbourne's just been in it since fucking 18 months now, you know? So I don't know. I think
Oh yeah.
Whatever
it's interesting.
whatever we think is going on is just like one layer of 10 more layers. But I would say it had something to do with the precedent of the unvaccinated walking amongst the vaccinated. I'm getting a bit, you know, I connected, unfortunately.
Walking amongst.
Walking amongst them. All these memes are coming up about the purebloods. Have you seen them? Oh.
Yeah. I think it's great. Yeah. It was all just one lady put out a meme about 2 weeks ago, basically saying, yeah, vaccinated people, yeah, well, stuff you and your blood, mine's pure. And everyone just went, yeah.
Yeah, the pure blood.
Yeah, it's great. But because this is the thing that the mainstream media and all these, you know, those who want to control us, that's what they don't want. They want us to feel shame. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make us feel shame and feel less, you know, because we have a brain and we can think. But when we turn around and go, yeah, that's what makes us better than you, they're like, oh crap, what do we do now? Oh my
Absolutely.
God. So it's such a dichotomy, you know, like we've got, you know, energies winning out here, and then we've got other things under the ground that are manipulated. It's just such an involved game, and on so many different levels that, I mean, I think trying to work it out, you'll just, you know, do your head in. It's best to just focus on what you want and just trust and walk towards that.
I'm just out of curiosity typing in historical events on October the 1st in Australia to see if anything comes up today from October the 1st. Let's see.
What is it? 01102021. Interesting numbers.
Nothing's.
I wonder if numerology is different in the US, because they write their dates backwards.
Here's something. In 1850, on the 1st of October, 1850, Australia's first university, the University of Sydney, was founded. So that's interesting. She is the Premier of New South Wales of Sydney.
And it's to do with information and
hidden information and all that division around information. Yeah.
I'll show you a few things that I have found.
Yeah, do it. It's about to ask you.
On Google Earth.
Yeah, cool.
Now,
right. Google Earth time, girls and boys.
So there's star forts and weird stuff all over Australia, and none of it should be here. So this is Tasmania, right? So literally, that's Antarctica. This is like just so far away from any kind of civilization they said was around at this point, right? It's right down here. And what do we get if we zoom in down here? We get a star fort on the very tip of Tasmania.
Oh, look at that little one. Look at that little sweetie.
And that's actually not even a citadel. That's actually like a satellite, which means that there was a much, much bigger structure in here. You know, we have, of course, you know, these fields. You look around and it's just, no doubt we'll have, you know, a golf course and all these things, big hills here.
Yeah.
Right. You know, lookout hills. But yeah, so that's in basically literally the middle of nowhere with no, and the explanation is it was built in World War II to defend against all the armies that were coming down to the bottom of Tasmania.
Yeah.
And we have these everywhere. There's one in Melbourne here. Not much of it left, but
going hard with the star forts in Australia. There's not much that information.
See these things? See these round bits?
Yeah.
You see these everywhere. They're exactly the same everywhere. And they try and tell us that they were put in and maybe they were retrofitted for guns, like anti-air guns and things. But you see them everywhere in star forts. So this doesn't look particularly star forty, but I mean, look, you can see it's on a hill. It's all buried.
Yeah.
But I would say that is definitely just those markings tell me there's something there.
Yeah.
But what I have found, so we've got star forts. There's star forts, Sydney at the heads. There's in Perth, we have the Roundhouse, and we've also got all these caves and what are called the Leighton Barracks, which is basically this hill, and it's full of tunnels. Looking over the ocean, and up the top here again, what do we get here? See this circle? Exactly what we saw in Hobart. Oh, I mean Melbourne. You see them everywhere. So this again, see all this building, and that again, they tell us that was to defend Perth in World War II. Now, if you don't know, like Perth is just so far from Europe. It's ridiculous.
It's so far.
But what I did find is we have these things everywhere. Now, I don't know if these are pyramids. A lot of people are saying that these are dams and things, because we do have dams, right, that look like this. But it also looks rather pyramid-y like.
It does, doesn't it?
I'll show you some more, but and all the time they are always associated, and unless they're just a ruin and there's nothing there, if there's any kind of infrastructure, it's always mining.
Yeah.
So are they mining? Is this where half the is this where stuff's coming from? But I don't even know what this is. Look at this. God. Is that salt, you reckon? It looks like it's been hit with a shockwave.
It does. It looks like,
see how it's built up.
Lightning strikes. Yeah, that's really weird. Really weird.
See how it's built. See how it's built up like a pyramid.
Yeah, absolutely.
So look at that.
Where is this?
And this is the other thing. This is in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Look at that. It's just literally there. There's, and other countries sort of find it hard to conceptualize Australia, but I mean that would be days drive from the nearest town.
Yeah.
There's nothing there but the little mine. There's no reason to be there. Western Australia is supposed to be one of the most mineral rich places on earth. So why it just, I don't know, doesn't make sense. And then we get, so another one down here. And when I come down here, look at all these dots. See these dots and these lines, that grid? Can you see that?
Oh, yes. Look at that.
Look at that.
Yeah.
And it goes all the way across. There's this big grid thing. Look, all up here, right?
What is
And down
that?
here we get another thing that looks like a star fort or a pyramid. Now, of course, people again have said, "Oh, that's just a dam," because in Australia that's how they make a lot of dams for stations. When literally we don't have farms, we have they're called stations because they're so big. Because there's no food or water, you need like 100,000 acres to run, so many cattle. But why has it got these star points on the outside of it?
Yeah.
And where's the farm?
Yeah.
Where's the farm? Where's the cattle?
And it actually takes effort to make a square. Like every farmer I know who's built a dam, and I know lots of fucking farmers who've built dams, they're never square. They're just the shape of the bulldozer going up and down. They make like a basin. They don't make squares.
Exactly. Why would you make it? Because it doesn't matter. The shape doesn't matter.
No, and that would take a lot of work.
You can see that. That's a perfect square, right? Same kind of thing. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yeah.
No, that's not again. No, that's just up in Queensland. And then we have this. This is what it would look. Now, this is a perfect square, but see the water there? That's what a dam would look like. It would just be the lowest bit. You wouldn't make perfect squares, but this, look at this. This reminded me of when Stephen and Evan were talking about that square. Remember they said they found that square farm and all the trees fell over, but it was a perfect square?
Yeah.
See how that's like this perfect kind of square?
Yeah, that's really odd. Yep.
And these things are everywhere.
Yeah.
Now we do have, there's a pyramid in, so Walsh's pyramid, that's up there. Where's Gympie? Gympie is, don't tell me I didn't mark it. I thought I marked it. Oh, well, there's one in Ballina, which is just inside Queensland. Yep, Ballina Pyramid. And there it is. Look at that. So there's a pyramid. Now I'm about to blow your head off, so I'm just building up to it. I'm not sure. You don't need it. Adelaide, and it's just the same. You find them all the capital cities have they've all got star forts. Look at that. There you go. That's in Adelaide, down on the beach.
Oh yeah,
can you see that now?
Yeah, it's like a half one.
Yeah. So again, one of those sort of satellites. Yeah. And of course, we come back, and what do we get? Golf courses.
Yeah.
All this weird stuff. No doubt there'll be a stadium. We've got our water here with the island in the middle. It's always the same setup. And so I was looking for pyramids, and I'm starting to do these lines up as well to try and get alignments and things.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's go and have a look down here. I think this might be one of them. And I don't know what these things are. I know. So this is another one that looks, so that could be an old pyramid, right? Who knows?
Wait,
could have had the top mined off it.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Perfectly square.
Yeah, it's like they're all missing their actual external structures. Imagine if they're have we done any discussion on inverted pyramids?
Have they been? Well, that's one thing I did think of. There is supposed to be an inverted pyramid under the Great Giza Pyramid, but also have they been mined?
Gosh, imagine that. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Have they been mined for stone? Break down the limestone to make mortar. No doubt there'd be, granite and stuff in there, gold. They literally just gone in and mined it.
All sorts of things that we don't even know about. Well, I think they'd only mine it if it was done by the nefarious forces for a reason. It wouldn't have been like just a corporation coming in and taking down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'd be half to destroy it and half to get what they can out of it that's usable.
I mean, like the parallel of Australia being the land of Oz from the Wizard of Oz. I love that metaphor because it doesn't feel like a fucking metaphor. It feels like Australia, this big red barren landscape, is actually an inverted, highly advanced, highly active civilization under the ground. Like if you think of Wizard of Oz and the land of Oz, they traveled, didn't she? Dorothy traveled on the tornado. And FYI, Campbell, there's been 2 tornadoes here in Australia this week. What the fuck? Earthquake and tornadoes. We don't get either of those things in Australia. Did you see that?
We don't.
There was a tornado.
No, I didn't.
There was a tornado in Narrabri, which is like out near my farm, and there was a tornado in Bathurst. Like seriously, like those ones you see in America.
That doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen where shit's flying around and it's destroying things in its path, like Wizard of Oz, Land of Oz.
Yeah. How does that happen? Because tornadoes are created by differentials in temperature, and that's why you get them a lot. In the South of America, the USA, where they're coming across water, it's in the tropics, they hit land, they get different temperatures, and that doesn't happen in Australia.
No.
So again, that doesn't seem natural. Check out this. Does that look like an eye?
That looks like a fucking eye. Yes, Campbell, that looks like a fucking eye. That looks like the eye of Horus.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
So crazy. I've never seen that before. Yeah, that looks like an eye.
Now, before, I'm just actually going to show one thing before I show
quite beautiful
the pyramids and like actual pyramids in Australia. Let's go to Giza, and I just want to show. I went and had a Giza at Giza, and
with our new eye.
is bizarre, right? These are the pyramids, right? Look at this.
No, we're in the ocean at the moment.
Oh, okay.
All right, we're getting there. Yep, 3 pyramids.
Yeah, so you just mentioned, is there anything under the pyramid? Do you want to see what's under the pyramid?
Yeah, go on then. Go on then.
It's another pyramid. You ready?
Yep,
Look.
I'm ready. I'm excited.
Can you see that? Did you see that?
I didn't see. Wait. It's lagging. So
this is floating.
This is floating.
Can you see this bit here?
Yeah.
And I can go underneath it.
You can go underneath it.
I can go underneath it.
Okay, take us underneath. Wait, it's still. Oh, that little.
Can you see that?
Oh wow! Yeah. How is that? I don't understand what's going on here. How is that floating? And
and look at this one too. This is to show you that the images we're seeing on Google Earth are not photos; they are photoshopped, and they are put down there. This is not a picture. This has been superimposed on top of the actual photo.
I see what you're getting at. Wow.
And that someone stuffed up because they didn't put it down at the ground level.
Wow. That's bizarre.
And so
I see now what you're
seeing. There's no doubt there's something down here they don't want us to see.
Oh my gosh, that's so weird.
So how weird is that?
That's just like sitting on top.
Right, so let's it's just superimposed there. So it just shows you it's all fake, all this stuff. So okay, you ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Let's do it. This is South Australia.
I want to play some music.
Okay, we're in Australia here.
I want the music soundtrack.
Twilight music. Not Twilight.
No,
yeah,
Braveheart music. All right.
Braveheart. Okay, so literally all desert, nothing here, right? Nothing here.
Yep.
What's that?
Wait, there's still nothing here yet. All right, we're getting closer. Oh, look at that.
Sorry for the lag, guys.
So that is a very strange square object floating above. So what is that?
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Can you see that it's a pyramid?
Yes. It says number 2 dam, but it's definitely a
number
pyramid.
2 dam.
Yeah.
Is what it says.
Wow.
Does that look like a dam?
Not at all.
Can you see that? I know it's probably lagging, but can you see that point on the, like, it's literally a pyramid?
Yeah, it's literally a pyramid. Where is this?
This is in South Australia, just inland. I can leave the coordinates. I've got it all saved. I've got, somehow I can, I don't know, I'll have to work out, but I can save all the points that I've got and then put it down so other people can sort of get it and put it onto theirs. So I'll look at that. And here's another one. So there's 3 of these, and they call them dams.
lot about dams, weirdly enough. And I tell you what, they don't make square dams. They just don't do it. There's no point to it. The machinery doesn't work for it. Animals don't care for it. They like bowl basin dams. That's a dam. So that is definitely a pyramid.
Exactly. Yeah. But just think of it, like dams are made, literally, they're made for animals to drink water at. So you don't go and make big berms and all this kind of, you dig a hole with a shore where they can walk up and they can just, they don't have to go swimming. They can actually just lap for the water at the shoreline.
Absolutely, yeah.
You don't build these things. And so, yeah, and I'm not sure if that's, you know, some kind of, you know, if it's reflecting a star, you know, the stars or some kind of astrological thing, who knows? But, and this was all done, guys, in literally an hour or two. There's so much stuff out here. Like there's another one.
We should offer some Tartarian Australian hunter prizes for people who find the most amazing Australian pyramid abnormality, anything that's fucking cool and crazy that we've found. Look, that looks like exactly the same thing inverted or removed. Like, I mean, obviously Australia looks like it underwent some massive catastrophe to turn its civilization into red dirt, and potentially the pyramids like cop the same, or they're inverted, or something else is going on, or even more, that they are part of the crystalline nature of our 5D cities in the middle of Australia that we can't see yet. Maybe they're there, we just can't see them.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows? Maybe they're starting to appear on Google Earth before they appear in reality.
I mean, just the imprint of them, the foundational impression of them are there, but we can't actually see the structure right now. What's that?
Yeah, exactly. It's all energetic. So I'm guessing this is a mine.
Gosh, that's full on, aren't they?
Like, look at this. Look at that. Can you see that?
Wow. That is just like, wow. That looks like
Exactly
another
right.
iris, like another
I've got
eyeball.
no idea. Another eye.
Like, yeah, that's like a pupil.
It does.
What is that?
It's massive because look, these are big buildings. Like, look at that. That's a big refinery. You know, look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 10 buildings there and a massive amount of space. And that is nothing. You can't even see it when you're looking at this. That thing is huge.
Wow. What is the area called?
Beyond the black stump.
Beyond the black stump.
Middle of nowhere.
Beyond the black stump. Is that what it's called?
No, that's what
I was going to say.
I just said. Because it's out. Yeah.
It says prominent. It says prominent.
If you're not
hill.
Australian, that's what we say for anything that's like really far away. It's beyond the black stump. But that's ridiculous, right? I have no idea what it is. Definitely something, you know, obviously something to do with mining, because we've got this, which again, look at this. Does that not look like, you know, I mean, obviously a hill, but could that be a pyramid or a big building that's being mined?
Oh my God. It looks like a total hole into hell. That looks like layers.
Does a bit, doesn't it?
Oh my God. That does not look like mine.
It's hard to see if it's going down or up, isn't it? Because of the shadowing. But I mean, and that almost looks like a reptilian eye as well in the middle there, doesn't it? Like
that looks like it's going down. Or that looks like an old massive structure. That just doesn't look like it's been look, that doesn't look like, look how it's like perfectly like the shelves on it. Like it's got shelves. Wow, that is so.
And it's got these, you know, like this strange thing on the side of it, like just some random.
I want to know. I have to use my
geometric shape.
Prominent.
So it's all.
Which state are we in?
I think it's South Australia. Yeah, it's still South Australia.
Okay, it's called Prominent Hill, and it's a mine in Mount Eba, EBA. I'm just looking at the formal narrative on it. It's
Here's all
called,
their
and guess what? It's called Oz.
holding tanks.
Yeah, fuck. It's called Oz Minerals. OZ
Oz.
Minerals. Yeah, fucks.
Oh, OZ, not
OZ.
AES. Oh,
The Wizard of Oz. It's literally
oh my gosh.
Oz Minerals. Wow, that's a trip.
Oz Minerals. Wow.
Whoa.
So that's bizarre, isn't it?
That is so bizarre. It's a copper gold mining operation that is solely owned by
Copper.
Capital and Gold, copper and gold, and it's solely owned by Capital OZ Minerals, Oz Minerals.
Oh, no way.
It's an underground mine.
Oh, so that must be going down there. So you must, that must be going. It must be an open cut going. Yeah, right.
It has.
Because it kind of looked like it was going up, but oh god.
It produces one of the highest grades of copper concentrate traded on the open market.
Copper and gold.
It is a large copper gold resource, high grade. The ore is processed using conventional methods, blah, blah, blah. It came, this is what it says, Prominent Hill first came on stream. That's so weird. 2009. And specific information on its production is available from our resource page. So they're saying that this officially went online in 2009.
So yeah, it's only 12 years old.
That's a trip, man.
They built that massive thing pretty quick, you know, in the middle of nowhere in 12 years, didn't they? But
they did.
That's just, yeah.
In the land
weird.
of Oz.
So copper and gold, you know, it's like, what do we see, right? In all these old buildings, big copper domes, copper everywhere, lots of gold.
Copper and gold.
So are they literally mining the old world? Is that where a lot of these resources are coming from?
Yeah, they're going down and down and down.
You know, because we know there's, you know, it's like electricity. We know they don't make electricity. They just charge us for it. Yeah. So as they doing the same with everything, are they like literally not even digging out and making the copper? They're just like mining and ripping the sheets out and just, you know, melting them and reshaping them and selling them. You know, the best copper in the world. You can imagine the copper they used in the old world would have been pretty high grade.
Amazing. So, well, I'm just looking at it. So
it just shows you.
It's basically that there, what we're seeing on the surface. I don't know what that big eye thing, I don't know if that's liquid, but the one that looks like it's going down is shafts, but predominantly it's tunnels underground. It's an underground mine full of tunnels. That's what you're looking at right now.
Oh, it is saying it's actually, wow. So it's actually.
They are literally mining underground massive tunnels. Wow. So, wow.
And see, look at these things. What are these? See this bit here? Is that caught up? Can you see that?
Not yet. Oh, yep. What's this?
See these bits on the outside?
Yeah.
These random things.
Yeah.
What are they?
What are they?
There's more. There's one in there. It's like, you know, they're part of a structure or something, right? And they've cut the edge off it. It's just, it should not be there.
Yeah.
Look how flat that is on top. Like, what the hell? There's something more going on here for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at some photos while you're speaking. It's really weird. I'll send you this one's weird. This is a very weird topic. We should definitely look into this one more.
Yeah. It's just, but in a place like Australia, with it being so big, this is the thing. They don't even have to hide stuff. It's so big, they could be doing God knows what out there, and we would not even know.
No.
And unless someone just randomly flew over, you know, or randomly saw something, that there's no way you'd know. I mean,
because this is the land of Oz, isn't it?
It is. I mean, this Western Australia is literally bigger than most countries in the world, and it's just one of our states. So that's how big Australia is. It's really big, and there's just so much vacant land because massive land mass. And what are we at? 22 million people.
Yep.
And our land mass is comparable to the USA, and they've got 330 million people.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
Just, you know,
The mysterious
stuff everywhere.
Mysterious.
And so here's
the
another
land of
one, which is
Oz.
a mine. They seem to be a lot of mines next to, you know, that these pyramid looking things seem to be mines a lot.
Well, it's interesting because one of the
Don't know
things
why.
living out in rural bush Australia is that you have no rights over your land. Like if they are constantly, apparently this is what we were told, constantly they're flying drones over Australia, the outback of Australia, and those drones apparently can read different mineral readings within the ground from the air. And if they come across any sort of mineral or anything like this on your property, they come in with a red flag, put it in the ground and say, we're going to mine here. And you have no choice. You have to give over your land to the mining, to mining. So like, it's just another way that we have no sovereignty over our land. And like when they mine, what they do is they put holes everywhere. So then the whole terrain becomes unsafe.
Yep, they just destroy it. This is just an airport I found out in the middle of nowhere. Which just had really interesting geometry. I mean, how is that an airport?
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Where are we?
Arnhem Land.
Arnhem Land? What?
Like literally.
Let me have a look at this.
Or yeah, Arnhem Land, yeah, pretty much. So
in
the middle of nowhere. I showed you this one, didn't I? Pretty sure. Just for anyone who hasn't seen it. This is Australia's own harp. So Australia is covered in weird stuff.
Yeah.
Just covered in it. And of course, you know, like we were talking about before, you know, with connections to, you know, certain countries with certain ideologies and bringing in their populations into Australia, giving them different, like literally they have different rights than other people at the moment. So yeah, are we reliving the past? Is this all happened before? You know, are those who want to rule out there desperately trying to recover what they can from the past to make sure they win? And you know, is this what's going on? And they're trying to replay the past the same way because they won last time, and we're like going, no, we're changing it. You know, is that the battle that's happening?
Well, I guess the battle is consciousness, isn't it? Like, you know, like I mean, essentially we're under mass mind control right now. Well, the majority of the population are undergoing mass mind control, and those masks are mass mind control. And they, like, mentally in your mind, they stop you from speaking, integrating, understanding, communicating. We all know this, right? So there's a massive mind control, MK Ultra mind control program going on called COVID. Now, I would say most people in the Tartarian transformational realm have jumped out of that programming and are very much up to date with who's behind it, what they're doing, and what's potentially going to come about as a result of it. As we strip off through that mind control programming, obviously our brains have found space. There's space in there. Like if the whole world's programming is focusing on a program that we are not being programmed by, then suddenly there's a lot of space in our heads to integrate other truths, right? So I feel like we are the antivirus almost, you know, like we've got the capacity to chew our way through. If you look at it sort of like those Pac-Man type games, to like keep chewing our way through down to the tunnel to keep moving forward like that. I feel like we are moving forward in our understandings. And as a result, reality is moving forward in its unfoldings. And as a result, I think because of that, they can't win. Like, I mean, obviously...
Well, they can't. I just heard Michael Tsarian, however you say his surname, and he said, which was really good, all evil holds in it the seeds of its own destruction. And it has to, right? Think about it. It has to. Evil is all about destroying. What we give out, we bring back. So all evil is literally, it's created to destroy itself. It can't win. It's not got no connection. It's got no love. All it is rule, conquer, and destroy. And if that's all you put out in the universe, that's all you get back.
Yep.
Whether you're connected to source or not. So there's no way they can win. And we kind of look at it as there's this persona of, and persona means mask, by the way, of all these, people who want to rule us all being, on a big team together and all being friends and all doing this together, which is not the case. These people, they probably hate each other more than they hate us. They really do. It's just a fight and a struggle, because that's all they are. They just want to beat each other. They want to have the more. They want to be the biggest star, the whatever. So there's two wars going on. They're destroying themselves and each other. They're fighting to be top dog, and because of that, they're just helping us win. And of course, they want to be top dog because dog is the reverse of God.
Yeah, I mean, and like you can see that the CCP is definitely a major fraction within the nefarious forces. Like, I definitely feel like the agenda is like there are two warring parties, but ultimately they all just agree on where they're taking us as a peoples and as a planet. They agree to the overall picture. It's just who's going to be the one on top at the end from there.
They're on top, yeah.
So after the gold rush in our Tartarian history here in Australia, you don't hear much about the Chinese after that, do you? It's not like, I mean, they all got they got a little street in all our major cities. We've got Chinatown in every main city, but it's just a little street. But you don't see like major Chinese corporations, banks, like universities. I mean, Melbourne, you could now, baby, but like, where did all those immigrants go? And what happened to them after because we went from the gold rush to the Great Depression, the gold rush to the Great Depression. Like, what the fuck? This is where we are now, right? So we're going to go through like this thing of colonizing, taking over. All the wealth comes in smart cities. So back then it was like all the wealth came in, Melbourne's formed, but now all the wealth coming in smart cities come in.
Yep.
Flooded with this immigration of Chinese immigrants. And then what happens next? What happened? The Great Depression. So literally we fall into a state of massive communal depression. What was the Great Depression? What the fuck was the Great Depression?
Great Depression. I mean, that was taking over the money system, wasn't it? Really, I think that was the introduction of the fiat money system. Jekyll Island, not too long after the Titanic, all that kind of stuff. The Astors and the Goldbergs and all those people. But basically, they just crashed when they crash economies, that they don't crash they keep their money, right? So you can imagine, if you're one of these, ones who wish to rule everyone, if you want to buy stuff, you want to buy it cheap. So how do you get cheap stuff? You crash the economy. No one has any money. Everyone sells everything cheap. You go and buy it all up. There you go.
And
another reset.
I've just looked at the definition of the Great Depression here in Australia, and do you know what it refers to? The Australian economic collapse and unemployment reached its peak. And look what we are going through right now with all the lockdowns and COVID. Unemployment it's reaching its peak. That's what the Great Depression was.
It's over 30%.
And back in the Great Depression, it reached a peak of 32%.
And we're at about 30%. Wow.
Wow. And they called that the Great Depression. What a fucking title. What a title to name a whole era in history. The Great Depression.
The Great.
The
right? Great. That's this word, great, that they like to use. GOAT. GOAT stands for greatest of all time. So anything with great in it, just keep your eyes peeled. That's probably them saying, "Yeah, we did this."
Wow. So
That literally means the devil's depression.
I was just having a look at what the Latin origin of the word great was. So, but like, what the hell? Like, we're right now, unemployment's about to reach exactly what it was during the Great Depression in Australia's history. I didn't look at the rest of the world, but was the Great Depression worldwide? It was worldwide, wasn't it? Or was it Australia?
Yeah.
Worldwide.
Well, at least Western world, yeah.
So, and we're on 30% now. We peaked at 32%. And after the Great Depression, what happened in our timeline? What happened after the Great Depression?
Well,
we built back better. Oh my God, we built back better. Oh no!
Don't say that.
Because that's what we are going. That's what all the advertising's about to do. We build back better, build back. Do you know, Campbell, this week, my national bank, my thing on my phone, on my computer, changed from NAB to JAB. It's now not called NAB. My national bank app, like when I do my banking, it's now not NAB, N-A-B, it's now JAB. And
they changed it to JAB.
To JAB. And then after that, which is awful, I caught an Uber the other day, and I haven't been in Uber for a while. Anyway, the guy said, because 2 Ubers cancelled on me before I got picked up. And the guy said to me, listen, you have the lowest rating on Uber. And I was like, what? What do you mean? I hardly use it, but why would I have a low rating? He said, well, you've got like almost half a star. Like, it's so low, no one's going to pick you up. And I'm just like, wow, Uber's running a rating system. I didn't know this. So, and I didn't know that. No. And the reason he reckons is because I wasn't wearing a mask. Even though I tell them that I have an exemption because I've given myself one. Even though I said I've got exemption, I still ended up getting almost a 0-point rating in Uber over the last 6 months. So no one wants to pick me up.
Oh, wow. That could be a business for someone. Mask-free rides.
I mean, how insane is that, though?
If they want to do it, let them do it. Let them do it. We just all ignore them. They crash. They lose all their money. We buy all their cars cheap, and we start our own.
Well, I mean, I would absolutely choose that as an option.
Yeah, but that's I saw a video as well this morning. Someone, Australian passport from 2008, and they took it apart and it had a microchip in it.
I saw that. I saw it. All right.
13 years ago, yeah.
I don't want to trip you out now. I don't want to trip you out because I've just looked up what major events happened after the Great Depression. And this is what it says. Are you ready?
Oh, God.
Mobilizing the economy for World War finally cured the Depression. Mobilizing the economy for World War finally cured the Depression. Millions of men and women joined the armed forces, and even larger numbers went to work in well-paying defense jobs. Hello, are we about to be invaded by China?
What's happening right now?
Because
look right now. Every Western country, at least probably every country, they're all looking for police. They're all looking for army, and it's pretty much we don't care who you are, come along, we'll give you double the pay that we used to give people. Just do what we tell you. And everywhere. And I've noticed in a lot of the videos, like the police just aren't what the police used to be 10 years ago. Let's just put it that way.
No way.
Bloody all different heights, all different weights, covered in tats, no manners, no intelligence. Just literally the dregs of society are now being given a uniform and a gun and being told to go and harass people. And they've been given no training and they're being told, oh no, everyone has to listen to you. You're the law. Oh. And they don't know what they're doing. This is going to end badly for them. It's like that lady, unfortunately in Sydney who tried to harass that dude. Did you see that? And he just turned around and kneed the crap out of her.
Yeah.
And, mention hit women, but if you're anyone and you're trying to take away anyone's rights, you've given up all claim to your own. Once you do that, what you're saying to the universe is, whatever happens now, I accept. Whatever happens, I accept, because I'm doing the wrong thing. And I know there's going to be consequences, but I don't care. I'm going to accept them. So don't cry if someone beats the crap out of you because you're trying to destroy their life. It's what you deserve. And at this point, if you're in the police, you deserve it. I'm sorry, you're the enemy. If you know what's going on and you haven't quit, good luck with the karma, right? I mean, you got a one-way ticket to hell as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, all light and love and spirituality aside here. Like I went to the big markets this week.
But the devil.
I know, absolutely.
You don't love the devil. There's no light and love to the devil. No, that's who tries to kill the light and love.
Exactly. And
light and love to all light workers. And
light workers have to claim their very strange, wild, weird, unknown shadow side as well. The one that does allow us to, fucking kill people. Anyway.
Another thing I saw is it said someone said at some point David had to pick up a stone and throw it at Goliath.
Absolutely. At some point, you got to take.
We've been with this whole New Age movement. They have hammered love, just forget, just forgive, just don't do anything wrong. Which translate into what? Be a pushover. Don't stand up for yourself.
Passivity.
And so a lot of people think that is being a light worker. A light worker does not let people push them around. They do not let evil win. It's that simple.
Yeah.
If you're doing that and you're stepping down, you're not a light worker. You're kidding yourself.
Yep, agreed. That was my main issue with Buddhism, because I was in the Buddhist monastery for 5 years. And that's like you get trained in emptiness, meditation, non-attachment, which essentially equates to do nothing, care for nothing. Like just focus on nothingness, have no attachment to anything. It is a complete disempowered action step. It's like your natural God-given right is to make known the unknown, to step into like creative action. That's who you are in your God force. To sit there and meditate that all the way into non-action. So no wonder Tibet lost its nation, the world's greatest meditators, and they couldn't even manifest their own goddamn township.
Freedom,
exactly. Now they're just completely enslaved, abused, and raped by the Chinese. They took no action.
Shows you as well that they're missing something.
Yeah,
all these people, and why? Because they've shaved their head, they've got a certain color of red robe on, and they sit in a cave and go, look at me. Everyone goes, oh my God, they're so mystical. Yeah. What if they've got it wrong, guys? What if they're just as programmed as everyone else?
And they are.
This is the thing. It's some people are so heavenly minded, they're no earthly good. We're here to live in a 3D world. When we die, that's when we lose our body and we have no attachment.
Absolutely.
So why are people trying to live like they're dead when they're alive?
Absolutely.
It makes no sense.
I had the biggest issue last year about the passiveness of our community, how passive we've become. Where is the warriors that used to walk amongst us, that would stand in the face? And this is what it's taking, isn't it? We have to stand with that sovereignty. I mean, right now, we are a planet on the brink of ghastly outcomes, and we have to stand here in some space and say no. So let me tell you, I went to the big markets. It was 12:30 in the afternoon, accompanying my friend. I didn't even need to go to get food with her because she's fractured her elbow. And this was on when did we go? On Monday, Tuesday. There was 50 police on every single intersection leading into the market, at every entrance point of the market, and marching around in packs in the market, right? And you couldn't avoid them. There was no way to get to doors. So of course I'm used to walking past them without my mask on. So I'm walking past, and I got stopped by 4 policemen. And they circled me, 2 women, 2 men, and they were like, "Where's your mask?" And I'm like, "I've got an exemption." But this time around, they were like, Where's your exemption? Do you have it on you? Do you have it on your phone? Who gave the exemption? What doctor's clinic did you get the exemption? What was your doctor's name? Why did you get the exemption? What were the reasons? And I'm just standing there saying, I don't need to tell you this. I don't need to tell you this. I don't need to. And they're just like, if you don't tell us this, we're going to arrest you. Like, that's their energy is shifted, right? So they've got their computer out. They want my ID and my license, and they're like putting it into the computer.
That's the scary, yeah.
Really scary. So, but this time around, I was like, Tui and I had an interaction a few weeks ago. We lost our shit. We weren't cool. We were very immature, but it felt good to get it out, you know. But this time around, I was very mature and I kept my cool. And I was like, you can't be making me feel like you're about to arrest me for having a different opinion to you. Like, you guys are on the wrong side of this. And they just kept saying to me, we trust the science. We trust the science. We believe in the science. And I said, yeah, that's fine. But there's like a hell of a lot of people who don't believe in that science. Does that mean they're to be arrested because they disagree with you? They're like, we believe in the science. We're like, man, you are causing so much stress and anxiety here in Melbourne for everyone walking around. Like, you can't walk around this city right now without feeling the anxiety the police are bringing. Like, it's so intense. And they're just like, and this woman, she just stepped in and she's just looking at me and going, where's your exemption? We trust the science. And I'm like, man,
well,
guys.
A random woman or a policewoman?
Policewoman.
Just some rando?
No, policewoman. Yeah. God. So they honestly, and
trust the science.
I stood there. It took half an hour.
That's nice. Really?
Half an hour.
Can you think for yourself?
Yeah. Half an hour for them to let me go, to like stop encircling me. Half an hour. And like, I had nothing. I had nothing on me. I had no police record, but half an hour it took of me arguing with them and just like keeping cool. I wish I'd cried. If I'd cried, I'd like to see what they did with that. Because like, I just look like just a very harmless entity. But anyway, it took half an hour, and I realized in that half an hour, because I was tuning in the whole time. I was tuning in as a light worker, and I was just like, you guys are not the same as me. Something's changed in your chemical presentation. Something's changed in your energetic presentation. Something's changed where I don't sense that we are the same energetic DNA strand. Something has shifted.
Yeah, from the same source. Yeah,
from the same source.
You like, even a few months ago, a lot of the cops would talk to people and they would but now they just, it's like you say, not science, they just sit there with this blank look on their face. They won't engage, and they just keep repeating themselves over and over. That's all they can do. They clearly can't think. If you throw a question at them, they literally can't do anything with it. They just go, and just repeat what they just said before. That's all they can do. They're complete robots.
Actually, so I would agree with you. That is the one thing that I observed, that they were just on repetition. They were not able to creatively, critically discuss things with me. They weren't able to take what I was saying and then have a broader conversation about it. They weren't able to engage in discussion or broader conversation. They were they had literally one sentence answers that were on repeat. Like, I was talking to an automatic recording on a telephone. Press 5 to get to Satan. Press 4 to get.
And how do they brainwash people that quickly? It's weird, isn't it? It's got to be something going on there. Who knows? I mean, we just don't know who these. We know they're all new, and they're not the cops we had 6 months ago, so they come from somewhere.
And, you know, like, of course, we know in the States when 9/11 happened, that was like the biggest recruitment for police, like, and the army. Like, they fully pushed recruitment during 9/11. Like, that was their biggest intake. And it was the same here in Australia. 9/11, there was massive intake into the police and the military. So all of it has been very friggin' planned for a very long time. That was 42. What's the number of life? Meaning of life? 42.
42.
42. It says, how long did the Great Depression last? And it was 43 months. I just thought that was funny number.
Close. No cigar.
So that's it. Australia got out of the Depression, as did every other. The whole world got out of the Great Depression with 32% unemployment, which we're in right now, I think depression and mental state of well-being has just gone off the, I mean, how many suicides, how many fucking suicides are happening right now? Mental health is like brimming. Everyone's in isolation and there's chaos going with, as far as literal depression. But yeah, the world got out of the Great Depression after the gold mining and the Chinese immigration into a world war,
into a world war by killing each other.
Yeah, and I want to read something to you that came through my channel, which was freaky deaky about that topic. I thought I'd share it because it is a freaky deaky one. All right. This came out yesterday. Inside sources say China knows the imminent moment is coming when the US military will respond against the COVID-19 bioweapon attack. So they're saying that the alliance is going to respond to this bioweapon. And as a result, China is currently positioning through the world their military warships in over 60 countries and plan to take Taiwan soon. So watch out for Taiwan. Because of that, if we see Taiwan coming up in the news, like that means that what this is saying, what I'm about to read to you, is coming to light. Biden's effort to weaken the military soldiers by enforcing the vaccines, knowingly well, soldiers and military will be divided, and a perfect time for China to strike and cause chaos through shipping stoppage, energy crisis, and essential supplies. All military is on high alert. Deep state cabal in every country is working hard together to stop the 32-nation alliance military from stepping in and stopping the depopulation agenda that is connected to resetting the financial system, a Great Depression. Every time the deep state money goes into major debt, Great Depression, they create wars, coming out of the Great Depression. Their financial institutions cannot sustain growing societies. That's why war is created every time their financial system starts to crash.
Yeah.
They are starting to withhold energy resources. This will bring about the collapse. The deep state plan is crumbling at many levels and exposure is leaking and time is ticking. There is only one chance for all military alliances to strike together on their own deep state governments and military. CCP China knows the moment is coming. When within China is a silent coup happening right now. All countries are on high alert. Many of you are very unaware, we're not. 1.4 billion humans will die from the vaccine. Like, I don't really want us to be spreading this sort of information, like, because I don't know if it's accurate or not, but I just feel like sharing this little tiny bit. 1.4 billion humans will die from the vaccine, the bioweapon, and the death count chaos has already started. These important chess moves had to happen. White hats took a step back as the enemy used up their final moves and energy, and now the strike's about to happen. The news is fake, the war is real. When I say fake war, I mean the deep state is planning these wars across the world for confusion. To have the sheep look away from the truth of exposure of the pandemic, the bioweapon vaccine, this fake war is nevertheless a war. So they're basically saying that there's going to be this like fake war with China, worldwide war with China hitting to take away from the fact that 1.4 billion people potentially are about to start dying from the bioweapon. They introduce a war. So even though the war is going to distract us, it's still a real war. So it's fake on one level, but real on another. And then it said once again, important to have 30 to 60 days water and food on tap. Near-death civilization event. We're inside the event. So far.
Jeez, it's all well, I mean, we can feel that it's all something big is not too far away, that's for sure. But I mean, I think, I wouldn't, don't get scared, guys. Just stand in your power, just put your energy into what you want and understand, there's a lot of stuff going on and most humans are good. We know this, right? The vast majority are good. So it's not that everyone's bad, and that's a lot of people think this as well. years ago, it used to be, oh, it was 0.1% of the 0.1% of the evil ones. And now everyone, I don't know, seems to think it's half the population. But it's not. That's a very small percentage of people. They just unfortunately have a lot of money and a lot of influence, but you know, that only gets you so far. So yeah, don't take it bad. The war's about to hit, but we win.
Yeah, and do remember that, like, we are releasing. It's for us, honestly, it's about releasing, like letting things out, letting it out, like getting emotional, expressing. Something that I have to like get better at is like releasing my emotions, like crying more, like expressing it more, being more able to speak it all out. And when I'm feeling grumpy, to say it, when I'm feeling anxious, to name it, when I'm feeling frustrated, to sit in it, when I'm feeling frightened, to sit in that and to feel it from my stomach and release it up, because that is me basically releasing all traumas from my karmic process, and we are all the same here. And so the more we can release, the more our ability to ride this storm and ride this wave becomes more and more peaceful, more and more in the flow. That's it, right? More and more in the flow. So we got to keep the
flow. Yeah.
And when we're out of the flow, when
trust.
we get like, and I think for us, like if we can literally ride that wave, we can literally go with the flow of this wave. Hey guys, what is our favorite topic, right? It's all about water and the mud flood. And of course, Q and the Alliance are all about water. Water is all the time mentioned. And the only way you can ride that wave fluently is to keep releasing, letting it go. Yeah.
And just trust. You know, so a lot of people get scared when they go into situations they haven't been in before.
Yeah.
But, you know, it could be exciting. It doesn't have to be scary. You know, it's just something different. That's all it is. And we're so used to just doing the same thing over and over and over and over again that when something's slightly different, it's like, oh, that's scary. Oh, you know what? Most of the times you think it's scary, you go and do it, and you come out the other end, you go, that was awesome. It wasn't scary at all. So bit of trust, guys, bit of trust, you know, just, I mean, do you think you've come here, you know, and you've been tricked and you got scammed and it's just a bad place where people are going to kick you around, or do you believe that you're part of the creation and you're here for a reason?
Yeah, and you
right?
chose this wild adventure. This wild adventure.
You chose it.
Your conscious and unconscious mind is fucking gleeful right now. Like it's like going through, like right now we stand here on the brink of a civil war and a nefarious takeover and a fucking time loop and a mandala and a matrix collapse and a holy shit, can we make this up even more? We are so tapped in and tuned into the energy that this sort of thing's coming. This is like giving us a lot. Like, don't feel ever like you're a victim is what I'm saying. Because like literally you are a wild warrior, man and woman, riding a wave and having the best time ever. Really, your unconscious mind is.
Yeah, exactly. Your higher self sitting up there laughing at you. Oh my God.
I mean, look, I loved looking at your pyramids and your water holes. I really encourage the audience, if you want to go out there and deep dive into the Australian landscape, it's so big. We would love to hear like what you've found. Love to see your pictures and love to have a chat with anyone who's got any information. I mean, hello, the Land of Oz Mineral Company. Like, hello.
You know, and work for them.
Let's bust the illusion of Australia. I'm seriously, definitely. I think there's shit there we can't see yet. I really think there's stuff there we can't see yet.
Yeah. Well, I still want to find that city.
Yeah.
That Evan and Stephen were talking about, that massive city in the middle of Australia somewhere. You know, it's out there. But as we saw with those pyramids in Giza, you know, Google Earth, they can show you whatever you want. It's just a program. It's not, you're not looking at reality. It's like the news, right? They can, you know, gloss over it.
Yep, absolutely.
So, but yeah, get out there, have a look, guys. If you find anything, let us know. If you've seen anything, or any tales or any stories of actual cities or places in Australia, let us know, and we'll start looking into it, because there's definitely a lot more going on. You know, Australia's not just this little fringe on the outside of a big, you know, chunk of land. We're actually the whole lot. So there's a lot going on inside there.
Yeah, and I
A lot of
reckon
tunnels, a lot of stuff going underground.
I reckon the Tartarian hunters were kind of like that analogy of Columbus arriving in the native shamans. They had to really stare at the water rippling for like 7 days before they could even see the ship because they'd never comprehended what a ship was. That's a metaphor, I'm sure. But like for us as Tartarian hunters looking at Australia now, like staring at that vast desert with nothing and thinking, no, there's a fucking crystal city here. I know there is. Like, I'm going to see it. I'm going to see it. I'm going to see it. We're going to damn well see it. It's going to make itself known.
No one's find it. Yeah.
No one's looked for so long. No one's looked for it, Cambell, for so long.
Exactly. Yeah. Look at the stories. You'll die if you go out there. So.
Yeah. And what happens when you like go away and you like clean your house and then you lock it up and then you go away for 3 weeks and then you come back and it's full of dust? It's because the observer hasn't had its eye on it and it's literally falling apart. The reality that's inside of your house is starting to collapse. There's no observer on it. So a crystal city in the middle of Australia with no one observing, no one knowing to observe it for 200 years. Like, what does that make it look like? The collapsed Australian desert? I don't know.
Who knows? Yeah, let's get out and have a look.
All right. I think I'm going to have to commission a piece of artwork, like at least giving us an impression of a crystal city in the middle of Australia.
Definitely. That sounds...
See what that...
Yeah, so you know it was in Oz, right? Where did the yellow brick road lead to?
Yep, the land of Oz, the Emerald City with the wizard, with the nasty wizard sitting there behind the what was it, like a fucking...
The little curtain pretending.
Curtain, that's right.
Pretending he was powerful. Yeah, behind the curtain.
All right, dudes.
All righty. So there we go.
Great show. I love it how
come through a lot in that one for sure. Yeah.
I really love how we can sit here and look at Australia through Tartarian eyes and yet still see it playing out in modern day with what's going on exactly as we speak today and yesterday. And how those two just sort of overlay so beautifully. So, like, pleasure to speak to you, Cambell, as always. I love having these chats. We always go down such a cool little rabbit hole.
Definitely.
So I guess...
Thank you for another chat. And if anyone wants to join us, leave us a comment. Probably the Facebook group is the easiest, or if you leave one on mine, who knows? I may randomly see it, but I probably won't.
Well, because you
come and join us.
You've elevated to like a superstar in the Tartarian realm, so you're a bit busy, but you can definitely contact me.
I am.
And so we love having our community on. Marty was excellent last week, and everyone's really loved hearing what he had to say. And Joe was like, anyone who wants to get on with us, we would love that. I mean, we just have a good old chat, really. Definitely. So, like, it's not scary. Yeah. It's wild.
No, we're nice.
We are nice
and fun.
All right, guys.
All about building. Yep. So, all about building community. So, jump on. Let us know.
Yeah, all about. Hey, and I noticed that you're doing a gathering. Do you want to talk about that?
I did. You've already seen that. Yes. Got that organised for a couple of weeks. So, yeah.
Where's that happening?
Yeah.
When's
so,
that happening?
2 weeks, I think 16th of October. It's going to be in a park. We can talk a bit more offline about other things we can do, create gatherings online, offline, all that kind of stuff.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
because I'm busting to have one here in Melbourne. I'm like, come on. I'm willing. If you guys are willing, I'm willing. Like, fuck it. I'm willing. Let's do it.
Yeah, I've already got one message saying, can we have one in Melbourne? So there you go. You'll have one person there.
Yeah, there must be a way. I'll think about it. I will think about it.
Yeah. We'll be able to do something, even if at the worst for Melbourne and Sydney, if at the worst, if it's online, it's better than nothing, at the moment, but definitely build up. And we did talk about December 21st, which is something we've got a big equinox.
Yes, we're doing something, Cambell. We're doing something.
Solstice. Solstice. Yeah. So if anyone's got a big block of land out in the desert anywhere that we can come and camp on, or any ideas, we want to get something where we can meet up. People can, just out in the country, bring a tent, bring your whatever, your van life van, and we'll just party for a week over the solstice, isn't it? Solstice,
Yep. Absolutely. We're going to organise something. We're going to
so
work
let us
it
know
all
about
out.
that too. And we'll definitely organise that and let you know.
Awesome.
So there we go, guys. Another one done and dusted.
Thank you, Cambell. All right. Well, we'll sign off and say have a beautiful afternoon or morning wherever you are in the world. And we'll catch you next week on Tartaria, Australia. So see you later.
Same tart time, same tart channel.
See you guys.